Yordenis Ugas retains his WBA World Welterweight title with a fantastic 12-round unanimous points decision win over Hall of Famer Manny Pacquiao. Now, before I go further, I have to tip my hat to both fighters. They fought their hearts out. Ugas taking this fight at short notice. I thought that he might end up being one of those kind of guys who just never gets a break, particularly after watching that Sean Porter fight. But he got what he deserved here. And Manny Pacquiao, at the age of 42, coming off a long layoff, going up against a much younger, much bigger man, a more active man. You really have to give him tremendous credit for being able to hang in there with a young lion like this, despite the fact that he came up a bit short here. Now, the fight itself was intriguing all the way through. In the first round, kind of a chess match, Ugas didn't do too much. He was just trying to look at the lay of the land. In the second round, and I think Pacquiao took the first, in the second round, Ugas started getting his jab popping. And I was like, wow, this guy has got a really good jab. Ugas is a counterpuncher, primarily, but he's not a back foot counterpuncher or a front foot counterpuncher for that matter. He's a counterpuncher that likes to hold center ring, likes to control the real estate, as Teddy Atlas likes to say. Obviously, he'll shimmy back, shimmy forward, take side steps here and there, find the range, the correct range for his shots. And as I say, in the second round, he was really getting that jab popping. And you could see Manny Pacquiao was a little taken aback by how good the jab was. And all the way through this fight, Pacquiao was getting hit far more often than he normally does. Now, I remember the Keith Thurman fight. I remember, most of Manny Pacquiao's fights over the years that I've been watching him. And it's seldom, particularly in the latter years of his career, where he's been a bit more circumspect in his approach. He isn't the whirlwind that he used to be. I'm not used to seeing Pacquiao get hit as often as he did in this fight. Some people are going to say that's down to Pacquiao's age and inactivity, and you certainly can't dismiss that. But I'm also going to say it's down to Ugas' skill, because where other fighters will back off when Manny Pacquiao's letting go, when he's coming at them with them very fast hands that he's got, hard punches, Ugas will stay in the pocket and he'll look for counters. Even though he's not as quick-handed as Manny Pacquiao, he's accurate. And that, to me, was the story of this fight, was Ugas' accuracy. He was landing the more clean, effective shots throughout. Now, look, there were a lot of close rounds in this fight, but overall, I felt like Ugas' quality is what won in the day here. And as I say, second round, he started getting his jab popping. After 4 rounds, I was talking in the Discord server. There was me, there was Stacks, there was Chris Andre, G-Man, Henry. There was a few of us. We were talking about how we had the fight scored. Chris Andre had it 2-2. So 2 to Pacquiao, 2 to Ugas after 4. I thought that was a good scorecard. 5th round, I think I scored that to Pacquiao. It was real tit for tat through the first half of the fight. The second half of the fight is where I think Ugas started pulling away. Now, Ugas likes to throw a looping right hand. Now, normally when fighters throw looping shots like that, they're easier to see, okay, and therefore easier to get out of the way of. But Ugas is very, very sneaky with that overhand right. I was having flashbacks of the 4th fight between Pacquiao and Marquez, the way Ugas was looping the right hand over, because it was very, very reminiscent of the shot that Marquez dropped Pacquiao with the first time. It's looping overhand right. And he would catch Pacquiao with his head up in the air, because Pacquiao does still have a tendency at times where, you know, when he's thrown his shots and he backs out of the pocket, he'll stand with his head straight up. He thinks he's out of range sometimes because he's got such fast feet. But Ugas would kind of dip forward. And I guess Pacquiao's thinking, okay, I'm going to be able to hit him with an uppercut here. But no, there's an overhand right coming. And Ugas landed that shot continuously throughout the bout. And credit to Pacquiao, he's still got a hell of a chin to be able to take shots like that from Ugas, which floored people like Ray Robinson, for example. So, yeah, sneaky stuff from Ugas. Very economical, very accurate. Holds his ground, stays in the pocket, uses that jab, body punches very well, of course. And I think the body punches did take quite a bit of the mustard off Manny Pacquiao's punches as the fight progressed. And maybe he could have gone to Pacquiao's body a little bit more. Maybe he neglected that a little bit And also, in some of the rounds, I think Ugas neglected his jab slightly, because the jab, when he was using it consistently, he was having tremendous success with it. You know, he has the longer arms than Pacquiao, and his timing was real good. His accuracy was real good with it. And he was using it in different ways as well, Ugas. He wasn't just using the jab as a punishing weapon, as something to establish distance. He was also using it to set up other punches at times. So you use the jab in many different ways. Now, Pacquiao got, revved up in his corner by Freddie Roach on several occasions. Certainly, I remember in the third round, he got revved up. And it seems as though Freddie Roach told him to step on the gas, basically. You know, don't fight Ugas's kind of fight. He likes to fight this chess match in the middle of the ring. That's his game. So make it more unpredictable. Make it so that your speed and your angles come into play more, so that he can't, because at the end of the day, a counterpunch is not going to be able to counterpunch everything you do if you're that much faster than him. And so I have to imagine that's what Roach was trying to tell him, like, step on the gas, just be a bit unpredictable in here. Don't box his fight. And Pacquiao did that for a couple rounds, but ultimately he did fall into this pattern of fighting Ugas's fight. And again, I'm certainly not going to take anything away from Ugas, but at Pacquiao's age, he can't be that buzzsaw anymore for 12 rounds. He hasn't been like that for many, many years, where he just stays on top of opponents and is just relentless with it. And to be fair, when he was that buzzsaw, he was easier to catch, right? He's become more savvy and defensively responsible the older he's got. So who's to say that when he was younger, he wouldn't have been caught even more than he was here against Ugas? I'm not saying that that's the case, that will be the case necessarily. I'm just throwing it out there because the more aggressive you are, the more opportunities you give your opponent to hit you. Pacquiao was relatively aggressive here, but Ugas was still able to catch him with good shots consistently all the way through the bout. And, there were points in the fight where Ugas wasn't really doing much in the round other than making Pacquiao miss. There was a lot of shots Pacquiao was throwing that were catching Ugas on the gloves. Ugas got a very tight guard, by the way. Very, very tight guard. Making Pacquiao miss, catching the shots on the gloves. And then all of a sudden, he'd pick a beautiful combination. Just out of the blue. He'd put like 3 shots together that would all land clean. And the same with that looping right hand over the top. There'd be not much going on. A bit of a lull in the action. And then all of a sudden, bang! Ugas comes in with that right hand. And Pacquiao smiled at him several times as if to acknowledge, yeah, good shot. You caught me with that one. You surprised me with that one. So, yeah, real good bout. And the second half of the fight saw some pretty ferocious exchanges between the two guys. Pacquiao, again, trying to use that footwork. But the thing about Ugas is that he wasn't intimidated by Pacquiao's speed. He wasn't intimidated by Pacquiao's combination punching and power. And if you have the ability like he does, the defensive ability, the strength, the youth, to stay in the pocket, that's where you're going to find the opportunities. A lot of guys in a similar situation like that against Pacquiao, it's too hot for them. They get out the kitchen. And so they're not there to capitalize on when Pacquiao sometimes overreaches or when he leaves himself open. You see? So it takes a fighter with the kind of defensive ability, tight guard like Ugas, physically strong, who's going to hold his ground. Yeah. This was a far more sophisticated approach than Keith Thurman, for example. I thought Keith Thurman was very rudimentary against Pacquiao and actually quite disappointing. I thought he would use his feet more because that's such a great asset of Keith Thurman. But no, he went forward against Pacquiao, okay, but he doesn't have the kind of skills that Ugas has to box that type of fight. And Ugas, as I say, wasn't really pushing forward for the most part. He was just holding center ring, boxing a very, very clever fight. It went on into the late rounds, some close rounds, but I just felt like Ugas's accuracy was better the longer it went on. Then in the 12th round, Ugas really put an exclamation point on this fight, punctuated the performance with a great 12th where he was actually beating Manny Pacquiao up in there. Let's be real. Pacquiao was a little marked up through the fight, but if you look at the 12th alone, the start of the 12th, and compare his face to the end of the 12th, and you'll see that Pacquiao took a lot of damage in that 12th round. Like his face, he ended up getting cut in the 12th. The bruises were a lot more apparent after the 12th. So that is exactly how you're supposed to end a fight, particularly when you're going up against a superstar like Pacquiao and you're not really a marquee name, right? Ugas has been on the wrong end of decisions before, like against Sean Porter, right? So if you're in that kind of situation, you better put pedal to the metal in the 12th round and make absolute sure. You better do that, because in many instances, maybe most instances of these type of fights, the superstar is going to get the rub of the green, right? Certainly you've got people like Dan Rafael. He's apparently given the fight to Manny Pacquiao. He had Pacquiao winning. Interesting seeing the reaction of Errol Spence, because he put an emoji up with kind of a sad face, and then half an hour, an hour later, he put up a smiley face. So I'm not sure what that's about. Yeah, Errol Spence just saw a huge payday evaporate against Manny Pacquiao. He probably thought that Pacquiao would be, I don't want to say easy, but at his age and the lack of ring activity and whatnot, I'm guessing that Errol Spence was thinking this is going to be a nice fight for him, financially and in the ring. Ugas almost certainly is not going to bring the same kind of money to the table, but he's going to be real tough. And I think Errol Spence knows that. I saw some comments to some replies to Errol Spence's tweet when he made this sad face, and people were saying, easy work. Errol Spence knows better than that. So all these Spence fans out there, look, I like Spence. I've been very, very complimentary and a bigger admirer of Spence's ability right from the beginning. But Spence knows that this is a tough fight against Ugas. This guy's got skills. He's strong. This is a tough fight, particularly with Spence having these injuries, right? The car crash, his body didn't look quite the same in the Danny Garcia fight. Then this eye injury, I know there's some debate about whether it's legitimate or not. Let's just assume that it is. Going in there against this tough, skillful Cuban in Ugas, it's a difficult fight, I think, for Errol Spence. So hopefully that happens sooner rather than later, and I'm definitely looking forward to that one. Hats off to Ugas, great performance, punctuated the performance by beating Pacquiao up in the 12th, and the judges didn't try to come with any funny business. They gave him exactly what he deserved, which was a UD. And yeah, great to see a guy who I thought, like I said earlier in the video, might end up being one of those kind of people that just never gets a break, always has the rub of the green go against them, etc. Not the case here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Is it the fight you expected? There was quite a few people, certainly in my Discord server, that were picking Ugas to win. One of them even picked Ugas by knockout. So yeah, I think it was kind of split. Those who had actually watched Ugas fight knew that this was a competitive match. But people that were just looking at Ugas's record, for example, right, looking at the 4 losses and the fact that he's somewhat obscure, he's not spoken about in the same breath as the, Errol Spences and the Terence Crawfords and whatnot. And some people are swayed just by that alone, just by the fact they haven't heard of a guy before, haven't really watched the guy before. They think, oh, he can't really be any good. I'm going to go with the marquee name. Well, in this instance, that would have been a big mistake because Ugas managed to take it. Not that picking Pacquiao is an issue at all. Not at all, because this was competitive. Yeah, it's not like it was a one-sided fight. It was a competitive fight. It was definitely a fight that I was intrigued by because I wasn't sure what Pacquiao would be like coming off such a long layoff and at his age and so on against a young lion like this. Anyway, hats off to you guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. How do you see Ugas's career panning out moving forward? Are they going to make the Spence fight right away? Is he going to have to wait for that? Let me know. Come and join me on Patreon and access my weekly no-holds-barred, censorship-free podcast where we lift the lid on a wide range of controversial topics. It's not mainstream friendly, it's not politically correct, but that's the whole point. We dare to stand as a beacon of reason against an army of insanity. Just head on over to my Patreon page and select the tier called Hatman Hot Topics. You'll gain access to a minimum of 2 hours of exclusive content every single week, including podcasts, videos, interviews, live stream Q&A sessions, as well as my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. Not to mention a vast back catalog of hundreds of hours of previous episodes. You can listen via the Patreon app with the option to download in high quality MP3. We've also got a Discord server where you can come and chat and hang out with myself and other members. There's no contract, no commitment, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.